Hey Husker fans, Sam McKewon with the Omaha World-Herald and Husker Extra. This is our post-spring recap for the running backs. We've already done quarterback and offensive line. Well, those running backs, Matt Rule likes them. He keeps saying they're among the best in the Big Ten, and I don't think you say that unless you believe it. Nebraska's got really some proven options in that room, and then a couple of young guys that they really like. We'll also talk about the fullbacks when we talk about the running backs. Oh, all right, let's get to it. The one guy that left was A.J. Allen. He committed to Miami. He went to the Hurricanes. The other guys are still there, and Nebraska is really high on all of them. Matt Rule is. Gabe Irvin is the first one, sort of 6 foot, 215 pounds. They like his all-around quality, think he can catch the football, think he's a pretty good blocker, think he can run, tough, fast, all those things. They really want Gabe Irvin to seize control of that room. Not sure he's going to, because some of the other guys in that room are pretty darn good too. Anthony Grant's one of them. Now, that's the guy that started last year. Grant is a dynamic player when you get him to the second level. Now, this guy gets through the first round of traffic, and he doesn't always do that. But if he does, he's dangerous at that second level. He will make multiple guys miss. One of the things about Grant that he's got to work on is not taking a play that's only worth 1 yard and turning it into a 3-yard loss. Sometimes you have to accept that you're only going to gain 1 yard, and that 2nd and 9 is better than 2nd and 13 just because you couldn't go for 13 yards. Like, that's something that Grant has to understand, but I like his game out of the backfield. Ramir Johnson, he was the mystery guy last year, barely played all season long. Then finally in the final game against Iowa, he gets in there and looks a lot better than a lot of the other backs. I do think he's going to be sort of back in the rotation again this year. He is probably a guy you're going to see quite a bit on third down, catching the football. He's a good pass blocker. As a runner, probably not the guy that you're going to put up into the line 35 times a game or even 25 times a game, but he is tough, and he will take the punishment, and he's not afraid to stick his nose in a pile. Like, he will go in there. He's not afraid of that, even though he's a little bit more slight. But I think they probably got some things that they want him to do that aren't necessarily bound up in plunging into the line over and over again. Then you've got some young guys, Emmett Johnson, who's in the program. He's a redshirt freshman, and Quentin Ives, who is just arriving this summer. He's interesting. I want to kind of see him, maybe on fan day or even early in practice to give you a sense of what I really think. If Ives is really like 6'2" and he's 190, that's a very specific kind of back. That's kind of a glider, a guy that kind of hits the corner and beats guys around the corner. The last time they had somebody like that was Maurice Washington. You also think of a guy like Melvin Gordon. I'm not saying Quentin Ives is that good. My point is that it's that kind of player. Like, you don't necessarily put that guy up into the line over and over. That guy's going to break some plays to the outside. Sevion Morrison was a little bit like that before he transferred. So I'll be curious to see exactly what they do with Quentin Ives. I know he's a really good athlete. Now, at the fullback position, there's a lot of changes going on here. Now, Janiron Bonner was the guy that kind of played that fullback spot in the spring game. And I think they're happy to use him as an H-back at time or as a lead blocker. But I think they're looking for a fullback, like a fullback. And Bonner's going to be more of an H-back, 6'3", 215. They'll kind of move him around, send him out on routes. I think they want a 6'1", 230-pound guy in that role who's just hammering up into the ISO, right, and just going at the middle linebacker for Wisconsin or Minnesota or Iowa. That could be Braden Clover, who's already in the program. That could be Caden Becker, who's transferring to the program from Wyoming. It could be a couple of other guys that are transferring in. They've got some names that they're kind of playing around with a little bit. They've got some young walk-ons that are coming into the program. That's a position that I think is still evolving, and Bonner showed that he can do it in a pinch, and I think he could probably do it in a couple of circumstances, but he would have to gain quite a bit more weight. I think he'd have to be up around 230 if he was going to be 6'3" and putting that frame up into the defense 25, 30 times a game. I think you're going to see Bonner in a little bit of an H-back role where he's kind of going out for catch and pass, kind of like Chancellor Brewington, who was very effective for Nebraska last year, one of their better players on the team. I think Bonner can definitely be that, but that traditional fullback role, I still think they're looking for guys in that role. I like this room. They like this room. I do wonder if they have that elite player. I don't know that there's a lot of programs in the Big Ten that do, but we know Michigan does, and we know that Ohio State does, and we know that Penn State does. And Nebraska needs to get back to that. When Nebraska was really, really good, even recently, who'd they have? Roy Halou, Rex Burkhead, Amir Abdullah. If you have an elite back, you got a chance. All right, Husker fans, thanks for your time.